Hi, this is Joe again with another review. When I take this video, I'm going to discuss the 1974 Oscar-winning film Godfather Part II. Of course, the story was almost the same cast as the original film. I should mention it's pretty much the same cast as the original film, with one long exception. Of course, there's no Marlon Brando in this film because his character Don Vito Corleone died in the first movie. So they have Robert De Niro. This has to be like the second or maybe third film he's ever done, and he played the younger version of Vito Corleone, which we're going to get into in this review. Which also stars with Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, Talia Shire, all reprising their roles in this film. Of course, those of you who don't know the plot, it picks up right after the events in the first movie. This place probably take place in 1958 when the Corleone family moved to Nevada to get into the gambling establishment that's there in Las Vegas, but their home was stationed in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Of course, the problem was with this particular film is that it has a lot of flashbacks in it. The problem, of course, is the fact that they decided they gotta have the Vito Corleone character in there. Unlike the original film, which pretty much has Vito Corleone in it for pretty much most of the film, in his story, they decided to do the backstory in this guy. Now, the problem is, at least for me, is that why wasn't all that stuff in the original movie? All the backstory stuff of how Vito Corleone became the Godfather and the head of one of the biggest crime families in the Italian mafia. Why wasn't that stuff in the original film? Because I think it's because it was based on the original novel by Mario Puzo. And this one is just a second film, and that's to pad out the story more. They put out all this backstory stuff with Vito Corleone, played the younger self by Robert De Niro. So that was the problem, and by every 20-30 minutes they will go back. When the movie does start off with Vito Corleone story, where it was a little boy in Sicily that his father was killed by this particular Don, and his brother decided, or Vito's brother, which you didn't see on screen, he decides to go after this particular Don, and he gets killed. So the mother decides to plead for the rest of her family's life. Please stop coming after us. We don't go after you anymore. As long as you don't go after us anymore, just leave everything alone. And so what the Don did, he kills the mother. You see, he says, "Oh, I know what's going to happen. So your son goes out to be a man. He's going to go after me." Which, in another flashback scene, when Vito Corleone does become an adult, he goes back to Sicily and kills the Don because he was still alive. So you had that stuff in there, and it becomes almost like two separate stories within this one film. And it's not like different subplots of different characters who are still alive. For Godfather 2, they went back to tell Vito Corleone's backstory, which does kind of a distraction from the main story of Michael Corleone, the Al Pacino character, and that becomes such a distraction. It was ridiculous, and people say this is one of the greatest movies of all time. And I think on the AFI's list, it's also I think it's in the top 10, if not the top 15. And it's like, and watching this thing, so how is this one better than the original film? I think it's maybe because of the fact that it has the Vito Corleone's backstory, which I think would be more appropriate if it was in the first film. Because this movie is even longer than the original film. I think the original Godfather film is about maybe just over 3 hours long, and Godfather 2 is about 3.5 hours long. So it's an extremely long movie. And I thought it was at times it was boring as anything. Of course, the other subplots that was going on was that somebody trying to kill Michael Corleone and his whole family. And of course, you find out that it was Frodo the whole time. His brother, Frodo, the only one that's still alive, because James Caan's character was killed off in the first movie, and Robert Duvall was only like a stepbrother or something, a lawyer, and so the only one that was their brother that's there by blood was Frodo, and he got snookered and said, "Oh, I didn't know I was going to go after my brother and all this stuff." And of course, Vito says he's not going to kill him yet until the mother dies. As soon as the mother dies, he's going to go after you. So that's what. As long as mama's still alive, I'm going to go after you. So sure enough, when the mother dies, so Mike's mother dies. That's when he goes after him and kills him out on the lake. There was another guy who, and there's about 3 different people gets killed at the very end of this movie. The guy who, this Jewish guy that did business, this Jewish mafia guy who was doing business with Vito Corleone for a long, long time, and it was kind of behind the hit on Michael Corleone. So he puts a hit on him, and he does die in this movie. And there was another guy who was a character who was in the first movie, looks like he dies by his own hand in this movie as well. So you had 3 deaths going on at the same time at the very end of this movie. Well, all this other stuff, all these flashback stuff with video Corleone. Oh yeah, by the way, I should also mention that another guy who was in this movie, it also had to be one of his first movies, and not his first movie, was Bruno Kirby, who of course years later starred in Harry Met Sally, almost 15 years later, starred as Billy Crystal's friend in Harry Met Sally, and in the movies, in the first City Slickers film, which was in 91. So it's kind of fun. It's like the guy never aged, Bruno Kirby. Unfortunately, he passed away of a heart attack in the late 90s or something, or in the early 2000s. But to see him in the Godfather film, and the problem also is that he had a lot of subtitles, which you really didn't have in the original movie. When the characters were speaking Italian to each other, you just said, who's going to speaks Italian? Well, this one's speaking Italian, or curses in Italian, and the close characters. But for the Godfather 2, I guess maybe they had complaints about the people who don't understand Italian, don't know what the hell they're talking about. So they put a lot of subtitles in this film, and all the flashbacks with Vito Corleone and with Robert De Niro, they put a lot of subtitles in there. But to me, I think the whole backstory stuff with Vito, I thought that was a distraction, and I felt that stuff should have been in the original movie. Now, I don't know if that stuff was in the original book, The Godfather. I never read the novel, so I really can't compare the novel to the film. But I can compare this to the 2 films, Godfather 1 and 2. I felt that all that backstory stuff with Don Vito Corleone should have been in the original movie, and just keep the stuff with the current situation with Michael Corleone in the second film. Just continue the story from where the first one ended and into this movie. That's what I felt they should have done, but they didn't do that. To me, that's my one big criticism of this. And this movie is not as violent or over the top violent as the second movie, original film was. The original film, you had the horse's head in the bed, and you had a lot of these killing, mob hits, and all that type of thing. I mean, you did have that in this movie, but the violence, I guess maybe this one of the things that came out of the original film was that a lot of the violence was toned down for the second film, and it kept the violence up just for towards the end of the movie, and maybe 1 or 2 other scenes, on the scenes with the flashback stuff, you did have violence in those scenes. But I felt that comparing the first two Godfather films, The violence was really, in my opinion, was toned down quite a bit. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. It's just an observation I have with the second Godfather film. But if they cut out all the Don Corleone flashback stuff, I might have liked the second movie better. But I thought it was, boring. Wasn't that interesting? Because it's like the same. It's like a rehash of the same stuff all over again. At least with the Michael Corleone stuff. The one thing that I should mention that was kind of interesting was with the Senate hearings with the mafia. Because they're trying to get Michael Corleone to, send him to jail for being the new Godfather and stuff, taking over from his father. And one of the guys who died, I know I'm giving it away here. One of the three guys that died at the end of the movie, who was, co-host with Vito Corleone, who died in the bathtub at the end of the movie, he was supposed to testify against Michael Corleone because he felt that Michael Corleone stiffed him. So he was going to get even by saying that yes, that he's the new Godfather. But what happened was that Michael brought in the guy's brother, the scandal, said, "Hey, if you testify against me, your brother's going to get whacked." So that was the impression they had. So this guy, when he's testifying, changed his whole story around, says, stiffs the Senate at this hearing. Says, "Hey, Michael's not a he's a businessman. He went legit. The whole family went legit. And they're in that business anymore. They're out. They don't do any of that stuff. And you should just leave the guy alone. Leave Michael alone. Leave the Corleone family alone. That they're out of that business." And we would have said wanted to get him, nail him for contempt of court for lying under oath and stuff, and they wanted to nail Michael Corleone for lying under oath. And this guy told the truth, and he went back on his word, on his sworn statements and stuff, and so, and not too long after that, he dies anyway. So now Michael got off. Looks like he got off, and his wife, or Michael's wife, she leaves him. But she leaves the kids behind and says, "Get out." Doesn't have anything to do with him because, or he didn't want to have anything to do with her, I should say, because she got pregnant she had a third kid. Michael was expecting a third child, and she knew what he was involved in, or finally found out about what he was involved in, and had an abortion, which she didn't see on screen, but she had an abortion and told Michael, "Look, I didn't have a miscarriage. I had an abortion because I don't want to have your kids, any of your kids anymore because of what you did. Because I don't want the kids to die because of what you were involved in." So he got pissed off and was divorcing her because she had the nerve to have an abortion. But don't forget, at that time, it was like 1958. The movie was supposed to be based in. Abortions were illegal. So you had all that stuff, crazy stuff going on, but. Like I said earlier, if you just kept with the Michael Corleone stuff in this movie, it might have been at least an hour shorter than it was. I mean, I thought it was too long, and because all the Vito Corleone's background story was like too much. They kept flipping back and forth every 20, 30 minutes or so, or 35 minutes. They kept flipping back and forth between the two storylines. I mean, it's like they should just kept. I mean, it was like. To me, even though it was considered like classic, one of the greatest movies of all time, it was inconsistent with the story because it kept going back to the Vito stuff. I know I'm repeating myself, but if they just cut out the Vito Corleone stuff and the Robert De Niro stuff, I might like this movie better because at least with the Michael Corleone stuff storyline, at least it picked up where the previous film left off. So that part of the film I liked. Just the Al Pacino stuff I liked. The rest of the stuff I didn't like it all. But hey, this is an Academy Award-winning movie, folks. I mean, and it's also, I should mention, I think this was the only movie sequel that actually won the Academy Award for Best Picture. I think it's the only one that has. Another probably I think it was maybe remakes have been made that won Oscars for Best Picture, but back in the 50s and 60s and stuff. But this was like really the first movie movie sequel that won the Academy. I think it's the only one that has won an Oscar for Best Picture. So that's my review of Godfather Part 2. Please click on the video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. It's over WDY and that's C.com. On the homepage is the Rally Reviewer, Chris E. Moore, and check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.